Welcome to the latest briefing. Today, we are declassifying a highly sensitive intelligence report on a global phenomenon. It is a condition that afflicts exactly 100% of the population, provided they are lucky enough to survive. Yet, somehow, society treats it like a highly suspicious activity. I am talking, of course, about the biological crime of accumulating birthdays.
It really is the ultimate unforced error, isn't it? You wake up, you eat your vegetables, you look both ways before crossing the street, and your reward for this excellent survival strategy is that you slowly become a liability to both human resources and the dating algorithm. It is a fascinating paradox. We spend billions on healthcare to live longer, and then we spend our extended lifespans apologizing for not being 24 anymore.
Exactly! It is like we are all playing a massive game of musical chairs, but the music stops the second you get a gray hair. Let us dive into the two arenas where this so-called birthday penalty hits the hardest: securing a paycheck and securing a date. Because apparently, whether you are trying to pay your rent or find someone to share a pizza with, your chronological age is suddenly the most critical piece of data. Let us start with the job market. What does the intelligence say about the modern workplace?
The data is brutally clear, and honestly, a bit hilarious if it were not so tragic. The modern corporate ecosystem operates on what I like to call the Goldilocks zone of employability. You are expected to have 10 years of cutting-edge, senior-level experience, but you must also be under the age of 30, willing to work for entry-level wages, and possess the boundless energy of a golden retriever. If you are under 25, you are an investment. If you are over 45, you are suddenly reclassified as legacy code.
Legacy code! That is painfully accurate. It is as if the moment you cross a certain threshold, recruiters assume your brain has stopped accepting software updates. I have seen incredibly talented professionals literally scrubbing their resumes, deleting their graduation dates, and removing their early career achievements just to avoid being caught in the automated age filters. It is like they are entering the witness protection program just to get an interview for a middle management position.
Oh, the resume scrub is a classic espionage tactic in the war against ageism. You have people omitting a decade of award-winning work because it happened during the early 2000s, and the irony is staggering. Companies claim they want leadership, emotional intelligence, and crisis management skills. Do you know how you get those things? By surviving a few economic downturns, dealing with a few terrible bosses, and living through some spectacular failures. You do not get that from a 22-year-old who just read a book on corporate synergy. Yet, the tech industry, in particular, treats experience as a depreciating asset.
Why do you think that is? Is it really just about saving money on salaries, or is there a deeper psychological bias at play here? Because it feels almost cult-like, this obsession with the brilliant young disruptor working out of a garage.
It is a mix of both, but the psychological aspect is profound. Society has conflated youth with innovation, which is a massive logical fallacy. Innovation requires connecting disparate dots, and you simply have more dots to connect when you have been around the block. But there is this pervasive myth that if you remember dial-up internet, you somehow cannot comprehend artificial intelligence. It is absurd. We are discarding massive reservoirs of institutional knowledge because of a superficial preference for the aesthetic of youth. It is the corporate equivalent of throwing out a perfectly good vintage Rolex because you just bought a flashy new smartwatch that needs charging every 12 hours.
That is a brilliant way to put it. You are trading reliable, timeless mechanics for something that might crash during the next system update. But let us pivot, because if you think the corporate applicant tracking systems are ruthless, they look like a warm hug compared to the algorithms running the modern dating scene. Let us open the dossier on romance. How does the birthday penalty affect the search for love?
If human resource departments are quietly biased, dating apps are loudly, aggressively, and mathematically biased. Romance has been reduced to a supply chain management problem, and age is the ultimate hard filter. You have people setting their maximum age preferences to 39, meaning the second you turn 40, you do not just become less desirable, you literally cease to exist in the digital ecosystem. You are invisible. You could be a brilliantly funny, financially stable, emotionally mature catch, But because of a drop-down menu, you are a ghost.
It is the digital equivalent of falling off the edge of the earth. And it is so bizarre because, theoretically, dating in your 30s, 40s, or 50s should be vastly superior. You finally know who you are, you have probably worked through your major childhood traumas, or at least you have a good therapist for them, and you actually know what you want. Yet the market treats you like a carton of milk sitting one day past its expiration date.
The milk metaphor is spot on for how the algorithms treat us, but it is entirely wrong for human beings. Humans are not dairy products. We are more like wine, or perhaps a complex cheese. If we want to stick to the refrigerator theme, we get more interesting, more nuanced, and frankly, more tolerable with time. But dating apps are designed for visual impulse buying, not long-term value investing. They prey on the illusion of infinite choice, and in a marketplace of infinite choice, people default to the laziest possible metrics to filter the noise. Age is just the easiest number to slide down on a glowing screen.
And there is a spectacular double standard embedded in that sliding scale, isn't there? We cannot ignore the gender dynamics in this intelligence report. The way the penalty is applied is not exactly egalitarian.
Not at all. It is profoundly asymmetrical warfare. The societal narrative, which is heavily reinforced by media and pop culture, suggests that men age into distinguished silver foxes, gaining gravitas and authority, while women are somehow expected to wage a perpetual, expensive, and ultimately futile war against time. Now, the reality on the ground is that ageism hurts everyone. Older men face immense isolation and are often viewed strictly through the lens of their financial utility, while older women face the sheer erasure of their visibility. But the pressure placed on women to freeze themselves in time, to physically apologize for aging, is a multi-billion-dollar industry built entirely on manufactured insecurity.
Which makes the whole endeavor feel like a rigged casino. You are spending all this time, money, and emotional energy trying to hack an algorithm that was designed to make you feel inadequate in the first place. So, considering all this, the resume scrubbing, the invisible dating profiles, the sheer exhaustion of pretending not to be the age you actually are, what is the ultimate cost to society? What happens when we systematically devalue the future versions of ourselves?
The cost is a profound lack of depth in our culture. When we marginalize people simply because they have accrued more time on Earth, we are essentially cutting off our own roots. We lose mentorship in the workplace. We lose patience and perspective in our relationships. We create a hyper-anxious society where everyone is terrified of the future because the future means becoming obsolete. If you think about it philosophically, ageism is the only prejudice where the oppressors are actively discriminating against their own inevitable future. It is a spectacular failure of imagination. We are all on the exact same conveyor belt, yet we are mocking the people who are just a few feet ahead of us.
That is a hauntingly accurate image. We are throwing stones at our future selves. It makes you wonder what would happen if we just stopped. What if we refused to play the game? What if a candidate walked into an interview, proudly announced they have 30 years of experience, and dared the company to find someone better equipped to handle a crisis? What if we treated our age on dating apps not as a liability to hide, but as a highly effective filter to weed out the superficial?
That is the rebellion we need, and it is starting to happen, albeit slowly. You are seeing a quiet revolution of people who are simply refusing to become invisible. They are starting their own companies, bypassing the archaic corporate filters entirely. They are finding love offline, or using niche platforms that prioritize deep compatibility over a birth year. The ultimate power move in a society obsessed with youth is to be completely, unapologetically comfortable with your age. It completely short-circuits the system. When you no longer fear getting older, the industries built on that fear lose their power over you.
It is like realizing the wizard behind the curtain is just a guy pulling levers. The algorithms, the corporate policies, the societal expectations, they only hold power if we agree to the terms of service. And maybe it is time we stop checking that box.
Precisely. We need to rewrite the intelligence report. Aging is not a crime, and it certainly is not a disease. It is a privilege. It is the accumulation of survival, wisdom, heartbreak, joy, and resilience. Anyone who views that as a negative is simply demonstrating their own lack of intelligence. The truth is, the longer you play the game, the better you understand the rules. And eventually, you realize you have the power to change them entirely.
A powerful thought to leave on. We spend so much time running away from the one thing guaranteed to happen to us, provided we are lucky. Perhaps the real hack to the system isn't a better skincare routine or a scrubbed resume, but simply owning the timeline. Because if you are always looking backward, you are going to miss the incredible view right in front of you. Until the next briefing, keep your intelligence sharp, and maybe, just maybe, wear those birthdays like a badge of honor.